All right, guys, well, welcome to the February event of Grid Arlington. Thank you guys so much for coming. It's great to see your faces. How many people were not here in January that are new this month? Okay, great. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Grid if you don't know. Rob Chavez and that team out of Reston started Grid. There's a bunch of chapters now. There's, I think, 7 or 8 chapters. Dan and I took over the Grid Arlington in January, so this is our second meeting. So again, welcome to you guys, the new folks that came here today. Grid, if you don't know, is basically set up for like a 12-month cycle. So essentially, it's like almost like a curriculum where we talk about different topics throughout a 12-month cycle. So it's really important to kind of come every month. This month we're talking about sales and marketing, obviously. Next month our meeting is, I believe, March 10th. Does that sound right? Anybody give me yes, March 10th. So it'll be the second Tuesday. Make sure you guys sign up. We're going to be talking about estimating rehabs. It's something I've been doing for a long time. Let's just say a long time. So I've got a lot of expertise there, so I think we're going to share a lot of good insights in that next meeting, so just remember to do that.
Sunil's turned 50, by the way.
Today is my birthday, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I know, I can't even, I'm still processing that number, so I'm just like, I can't even, I'm like, give me like a year and I'll finally, I'll settle into that number in about a year from now. So let me just make sure I make some announcements here before we get started. Yeah, so we have, like I said, we have these regular meetups once a month, so definitely plan to attend. Go ahead and start signing up for them. Let's do some quick introductions. Again, my name is Sunil Saxena. It's my partner, Dan Lesniak here. I've been doing real estate for about 19 years now, actually. Started around 2001. Yeah, that's the right math. Started with more like a painting and remodeling company and then worked my way up. Probably been doing development. Real estate development is the main thing I do. I've been doing it since 2009 now, so a little over about 10, 11 years. Have my real estate development company called Saxena, the Saxena Company, thesaxenacompany.com. Saxena Custom Homes is my home building company, and I have Saxena Construction, which we do some construction projects as well. So that's me. Oh, there I am. Look, there I am.
There he is.
Dan, you want to introduce yourself?
That's me. So I've been in real estate for about 9 years now. I started in 2011 as an agent. I've been investing since 2003, though, so this is something I've been doing for almost 2 decades now. I did it while I was in the Navy, bought a bunch of homes or a couple homes using the VA loan, so that's how I was able to get my initial start. After my time in the Navy, which included a couple tours on submarines and then the Pentagon, I stayed up here, eventually got into real estate, sold $22 million my first year. It was 2012. I wrote a book about it, so you can pick that up on Amazon or any of those cool places that sell books. And since 2013, I've been helping KERI run the KERI Shoal team. She'll be coming up next. We've been doing development since 2014, I think, or 13, so a long time as well. And for some reason, in my spare time, I like doing ultra marathons and Ironmans.
Yeah. I'm 50 years old. He runs 50 miles, so this guy is crazy. So, yeah, there you go. Before we get started, I just want to, we can't really take time to introduce everybody, but let's just kind of figure out the groups of who we have so that afterwards the networking is one of the most valuable things of this. So make sure you guys stay, enjoy some refreshments afterwards. Where are my real estate agents here? Agents? Okay, great. There you go. So just look around the room if you need any good real estate agents. That we got them in the room here. Where are my like wholesalers that are looking? There we go. So just look around if you're looking for deals. Just kind of talk to these folks afterwards. Where are my developers and rehabbers like me who like to do projects? There you go. So wholesalers, talk to those folks afterwards. Where are my kind of private lenders looking just to invest, more passive income? There you go. So look, if you're looking for some money, talk to these folks afterwards. They got some money. So just want to kind of give you the quick, thing that pick out some people maybe to network with after we get done with our presentation. One of the things I do like to talk about before we get started is kind of this idea of investing in passive wealth. So first of all, I'm a strong believer in real estate. Obviously, that's why I'm up here talking about this today. I feel like everybody should be in real estate. No matter who you are and what you're doing, you should be in real estate. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I'm actually a medical doctor, and I left medicine to go into real estate because I feel like this is where the money is and this is what I enjoy more. So, yep, exactly. No money left in medicine, guys. So, so yeah, I don't know. I'm very passionate about that. I feel like, my kids are teenagers. I'm already telling them to get into real estate. One of the quick stories, I was renting a townhouse in McLean a number of years ago, and I think my landlord was kind of an accidental real estate investor. She basically bought a townhouse, then when she moved to the next one, she just kept that one and just kept doing it, and owned about 4 or 5 townhouses in McLean, which each one is worth, maybe 1.2, 1.5 million, and she owned those free and clear. So you can see how you could have, let's say, $5 million of net worth just by kind of buying some townhouses along the way. So even if you do real estate on a very simple, basic level, I think it's just so valuable, or you could do it full-time like we do. So it really just depends on what, if you have a career and you've got something going on and you want to just do this passively, I think that's great. One of the opportunities that we offer is what I call a true passive investment opportunity. Again, last month we talked about this as well, but when you guys think of passive real estate investment, what do you guys think of? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Okay, a storage unit, something you buy and rent, right? Yeah, but the thing is, it's not passive because there's still, no matter what you do, there's always headaches and tax issues and tenant issues. So it's not really passive. So what we're offering is a true passive investment where you invest money with us, you don't have to do anything, and when the project's over, you get your money back, plus we typically offer around a 15% return. So here's a project that we're raising. We've actually, I think we're fully committed on this one, but we've got some room left. We just started raising this one about 30 days ago. It's a 10-unit project we're doing in 1915 Benning Road Northeast. It's that H Street corridor where the trolley is really blowing up. I mean, there's just so much development going on around there. If you're interested, talk to us later in the back of the room. I don't need to go into too much detail, but here's the unit mix. Do we have any other slides on the financials? We don't.
This is it.
That's it, yeah. So just want to mention that. Like I'm saying, this one might be full already. We've got a very similar deal on Chesapeake right after that. But we have one person who's probably interested in doing that whole deal as well, so that may or may not be available. But we've got 2 more deals coming right after that as well. So we've got plenty of deals coming up. But again, if you have any more questions or anything, certainly talk to Dan or I after this, and we'll let you know more about that. But again, my message is somehow get into real estate. Who's kind of really new, would you say, new in real estate and kind of just getting started here? Anybody? Yeah, you guys. Get into real estate, please, because it really is, whether you do it at a small level or a big level, it's just the way to go. Last month we had a couple of, I think at least 2 18-year-olds that came up to me afterwards. They were just getting into it, and I'm like, awesome, that's what you need to be doing. That's the time to do it. I wish I was doing it when I was 18 instead of studying about anatomy.
One of them actually got a deal that he wholesaled to someone that he met here that night.
Just last month, so some good stuff. Let's see, just a couple other things before we get going. Dan and KERI, if you guys don't know, are married, by the way. A lot of people get that confused. I've known KERI before they were married, so that's just so you know. They are just amazing real estate agents. I mean, I can't tell you how awesome these guys are. They're #1 in Virginia. They're like number 25 in the country. I was looking at the Virginia numbers just the other day while I was waiting to meet with you, Dan, and they're like $100 million above the second person in Virginia. I mean, just crazy. That's 50% more than the second place in Virginia. So they have also a lot of training opportunities if you're interested on the sales side, if you're a real estate agent. So I don't know if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, we started about a year and a half ago after my book really took off. We started offering training to agents. We started with events, so we did a couple big events. And we have courses now online. If you go to hyperfastagent.com, you can get more information. There's, I think on the flyer that was on your seats, yeah, there's information about a boot camp we're doing March 4th and 5th. That's a 2-day event for real estate agents. That'll be in our office. So I know some of you came to our sales summit last November with Ryan Serhant, and that was a cool experience. We had like 20 different speakers and 400 people. This is going to be the exact opposite of that. It's going to be me, KERI, members of our team, and like 50 people max, like in this room for 2 days. So if you're interested in that, there's more. Check out the flyer, talk to me after, or go to hyperfastagent.com.
Yeah, so definitely take advantage of that opportunity if that's your thing on the real estate sales side. The other thing I just want to mention too is that we've, I guess, launched, or it's already been launched, a HyperFast Wealth which is all about kind of wealth building. This is part of what we do, is we have these monthly education opportunities. Do we have any more contact info for HyperFast Wealth as far as?
I think it's in one of the later slides, but if you just go to hyperfastwealth.com, you can get information about that. We're doing a weekly podcast where it's a mix of things. So sometimes we talk about one of our projects, sometimes we interview other people. Like we've got an interview on there with a self-directed IRA expert, Jack Kiley, one of our first episodes. So we'll be bringing on other investors and doing more things like that. Where we just.
Birthday in the back. Hold on.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry.
Somebody being born back there? Or what?
I got a pop-up thing going on, and we closed on the house today, so.
All right, congratulations.
We had a
Congratulations.
contract after the weekend after 5 months of doing a rehab on it, so.
All right.
Congrats.
We gotta go. I gotta go, guys. Gotta go. We're in a meeting.
Well,
All right. I love you.
congratulations. We love you too.
Love you too.
So anything else on HyperFast Wealth? that you
No,
mentioned?
just go to hyperfastwealth.com or the YouTube channel. We put all of that under the HyperFast Agent YouTube channel. You can follow us there, or some people are watching on YouTube right now, by the way.
Yeah. Hello, YouTube folks.
I think. Did anyone sign on, Mozo?
Yeah. We're probably all sitting home instead of
Couple
coming here.
Guys are missing the networking opportunity.
What?
If they watch online, they miss out
Oh
on
yes,
the network.
exactly.
You're missing out.
people.
Shame on you.
No. Well, thank you. No, everybody's welcome. Thank you for joining us. So, all right, guys, let's get started with today's educational part. Today we're talking about marketing lead generation, and we've got a very, very special guest for you. I think the surprise is already out of the bag, but we got a very, very special guest for you. Dan and KERI are real experts in this. I mean, you're learning from some of the best here. I met KERI in 2013 when I was, she actually found me when I was doing my home building company, which I'm still doing. When I met her, she was at Keller Williams, just down the street. You were in kind of a few of the rooms, few of the offices back there. I've seen her grow this entire company over the last, whatever that is now, 7 years. From there to what you're sitting in today, just kind of, I've seen her grow, just to do some incredible stuff. And all of that really has come from sales and marketing, I would say. I mean, I'll let her introduce that or talk more about that. So her and Dan are really experts in this, and I think you're going to get a lot of information out of today's event, a lot of value out of today's event. So without further ado, let me have you guys help me welcome my good friend and marketing expert, KERI Scholl.
Thank you.
You wanna
Thank you,
take
thank
this?
you.
Take
Yeah.
this, and why don't you guys go, and I'll just kind of stand over
Thanks,
here.
Sunil. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How we doing?
Doing well.
Yeah? So can I ask a question before we get started? If there were one thing you wanted to take away, we already talked about it, about sales, marketing, lead generation tonight, what would it be? Be bold, be brave, because I want to solve all of your challenges. What? Oh, and we have Dan's going to
Oh, yeah.
throw this at you, so
I'm
be
gonna-
ready.
I'll do that. I'll do the throwing.
You'll
Don't
do
worry.
the micro, are you afraid he's going to just like really get
No,
aggressive?
no, you guys got to focus on the material.
Got
I'm going to
you.
focus on the throwing.
All right, perfect. So raise your hand if you have a goal for tonight that you want to get out of it. I see it coming. Yes.
Okay.
You
So
can do
how to
it.
market for
Okay,
deals.
wait. You have to.
I got to throw. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
you gotta
serious,
throw
okay.
it. Whoa! Look out.
Okay, so how to market for deals?
It's a microphone.
Oh, okay. How to market for deals?
How to market for deals. Okay, love it. Now someone else be brave. Okay,
Yeah,
right
ask
here.
questions,
We have
guys.
a brave.
I'm gonna-
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Tenny.
Terry?
Tenny.
Tenny.
Yes.
Tenny. What would you like to learn today?
You guys have done a lot in terms of sales and marketing. I do syndication, and I like to learn about how to kind of promote what we got going on in terms of syndication and stuff. So.
Fantastic. Love it.
All right, question back here.
Hello.
Hi.
These like Tom Ferry right here. These little things right here.
We actually sell homes though.
Yeah, I see.
You did right there.
I would love to learn how to increase online conversion and decrease my online costs.
Decrease costs and increase conversion. Anybody else? You should all raise your hands quick. Okay,
Yeah, definitely ask questions. That's what we're here for today.
one more.
Who wants to get a question?
Yeah, sure. So what traffic sources you're using and what your funnels look like?
Traffic source and funnels. Fun. John,
I was there. How do I keep my pipeline full?
keep the pipeline full. It's his birthday, so he gets an extra question for sure.
Yeah, he does. All right. Yeah, I know, the kids.
I thought that was
I'm
very
sorry.
cute.
All right, here's my thoughts. I like it, yeah, make it short, yeah, I never do that. I have a thought about, flipping homes, but working as a joint venture with the owners of the homes that cannot, since our real estate, inventory is really low, I find that there's a lot of people that wanna sell their homes, but their homes are
In
pieces of
disarray.
crap.
Yes.
Alright, I'm not gonna mince words. I just took a house that was probably worth $345, and we just got a contract at, $623, and we got $71,000 invested in it. We put our own money into it. They're gonna get an extra $198,000 out of it. This is where everybody needs to think to go to. This is where we're at this point in time, because there's no inventory, because we have a lot of people that are getting older. And they have the equity, they just don't have the cash, because they have millennials that are still living in their house that are sucking the cash off of the top of them.
Don't be offended, millennials. So what is it that you'd like to learn about that strategy? Are you suggesting it as an opportunity for everyone in the room?
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting it for.
Okay.
Because I like to have competition, I like to sit out there, and I don't mind sharing what I know.
Thank you. I think
Amen.
collaboration is a big reason why we're all here, right?
Yes.
Yeah? I think that's a brilliant idea. So, that's actually one of the strategies early on, like in the days when I first met Sunil. I had construction crews and we were doing that all the time. And we weren't doing it in partnership, which is what I think you're saying. Hey, why not partner with the seller, not have to acquire the property, do the work, and then sell it, and you both have a stronger exit. Did you guys understand what he was saying? So I think that that's a brilliant strategy. I was managing the whole project and then getting commission, which was actually quite stupid. What you're suggesting is quite smart. Cool. Okay. So our goals are market for deals, increase conversion, lower costs. How are we leveraging funnels? How do we keep the pipeline full? Syndication. And with syndication, you were wondering how to bring more people to the table to do syndications. Am I right?
To raise capital and then look for deal.
Raise capital,
And
find
look for
deals. Cool. Okay. And then the JV with homeowners. That'll be easy. Yeah, we can definitely take care of all those real quick. Okay. So let's go. We'll get started. We'll do this.
A little bit about our team.
Oh. Go ahead.
In case anyone's wondering, like why we can teach this and why we're qualified, just look at our team stats. So, number 33 in the nation last year, sold 400 million, 670 transactions. If you want to learn more about our team, KERIShoalCareers.com. And I think this goes to why we're teaching this topic. Like we spend about $100,000 a month on marketing and lead generation. We're generating usually 3,000 or more leads per month. That's a mix of buyer and seller. I know tonight we're kind of focused mostly on seller leads, but that is what has led to us having close to 100 units in our pipeline now. And you know, I know most of you probably aren't going to have a marketing budget like this. Don't worry, we've got a lot of low-cost ways to do it. So the people who are looking for low-cost ways, we'll present a number of those options as well. And later on at the end, we even have an agent on our team, an agent investor, that's really doing this at a low-cost way, that we're going to give him some time to talk specifically about what he's doing, because I think that's important, because sometimes it can be intimidating, I know, to kind of look at us and the team behind us and our budgeting spend. So we want to bring someone who's, you know, really been at it just for a few years, but doing an amazing job with some techniques that are definitely accessible to anybody in this room. So you should get a good mix of all strategies tonight. That's our goal. So when it comes to finding deals, I always like to use this analogy: tugboat versus lighthouse. And I don't know if it's just because of my Navy days. You know, I just like analogies involving the ocean for some reason. But there's two ways you can get a ship into harbor safely, you know, according to this analogy. One is tugboat. You can go out and pull it in, and that works great. It takes a lot more time, and it's hard to scale that. At different stages in your real estate career, investing career, and we're going to touch on both tonight. All right, so prospecting. This is the tugboat strategy, and there's all sorts of different ways to do it: door knocking, cold calling, letters, networking. You know, meeting people here. These are all prospecting examples in that tugboat category. I think KERI had some examples she specifically wanted to point out.
Well, so interestingly enough, when I met Sunil, had we met for lunch the first time, and I said, "Hey Sunil, I have a background in selling new homes and I want to sell your listing," he would have been like, "Nice to meet you. You can pay the bill because I came all the way here and you wasted my time, and have a nice day." And we wouldn't be standing here today, right? So when I was trying to figure out, you always have to think, what does your prospect want? Okay? So my ideal prospect was Sunil. He was a home builder, he was successful, he had multiple listings. I researched the living bejesus out of him before we had lunch. And I thought, yeah, I did. I stalked him, totally stalked him. I was like, he's a doctor and now he's a builder. Wow, he's so fascinating. I can't wait to meet him, right? So we go to lunch, and what do you think he wanted as a builder? Thank you, Chris, from the back of the room. He wanted deals, right? So if I just went to him and told him what I wanted from him, which was his listing, that would have been it. Instead, I thought, well, what am I going to do to be a consistent source of deals? So I had an entire strategy where I was really focused on targeting the exact person that had the home. So I'm going to tell you how I did it, and you may want to write it down. It's still a really good strategy today. I looked specifically at the ratio of the value of the land compared to the value of the asset on the land, because I was trying to identify tear down properties, so I had the deal for him. Does that make sense? Once I figured out the appropriate ratio, I figured out a direct mail strategy that worked. For me, it took 3 touches 1 week apart, a 90-day pause, and reset and do it again. So I started really small. I started out doing this to like 200 homes. At the end of when we were doing this strategy, we had 20,000 people in our target list, and it is how we took over Arlington, right? So Sunil was saying 100 million over our closest competitor in Arlington. That is because I knew if I just went after the builders, they wouldn't come. But if I had the deals, they would. And then we were able to take over the whole neighborhoods. So for all of you, Sunil asked where your segment is. The philosophy that I want you to take away from this is what does my prospect want? And then how do I use these marketing strategies to give them what they want? Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Is that clicking for any of you and someone you're trying to target right now? Most of the time, marketers are focused on what they want, not what their prospect wants. As soon as you flip it, you can get what you want as well.
Yeah, I just want to echo that because, I mean, ever since we had that lunch in 2013, she's done 100% of my acquisitions, 100% of my sales. So whatever she said worked, and that's 7 years ago. And maybe not every day, but probably once a week, some real estate agent I meet is like, oh, hey, can I get your listings? And that's all they ask. And I'm like, no. What are you bringing to the table? So again, I've been doing business. I've been involved in other businesses as well. And what she said is literally the key to like having a successful business. Just figure out what your prospect wants. That's all it's about. What your customer wants, whether you're selling ice cream or my ex-wife's a dentist. We had very successful dental practices. It was all about just figuring out what they want, providing that, and they're going to line up at your door. That's really about that simple. So.
And most of the people won't do the work.
That was my other point.
Yeah, they won't do the work. So I had to go and meet with the sellers, and sometimes those people needed 3 years of my time before they would be ready to transition out. They needed a furniture layout in their new home because they were downsizing and they weren't comfortable, and I was the one that was willing to do the work.
So it sounds like you had the marketing strategy for your target market already, but how did you go from that to having the mailing list? It sounded like it was a snail mail.
So what's fascinating is every other real estate agent and investor in the country has the same access. I just leveraged it differently. I thought about it differently than other people did. So no one taught me this. I went to conferences and I learned about how they were targeting other people, and then I thought, well, why don't I just use the MLS? And why don't I look at the value of the land compared to the value of the structure? And that's how I identified the list. It was public. Does that make sense? Really good question. And I didn't know the correct ratio at first. I just kept studying it. But what happened is, not only did I get the bait to attract the builder, I ended up sending the letter when the ratio was slightly off at first, and then I realized, wow, I'm getting other listings from this anyway, so I might as well just keep expanding my niche. Does that make sense?
How long did it take for you guys to build a relationship where the trust was established and then she became your exclusive agent on the transaction?
Just think about it. If you're a customer, right, and someone comes to you and gives you exactly what you want, you're like, where do I sign up, right? It's not even sales at that point. It's almost consulting. So literally, I think, like after that meeting, when she did all that, I was like, oh shit, this is what I want, right? I need, because that's, as a builder in Arlington, the biggest problem is getting houses. I mean, if you live in Arlington, like there's 20 guys competing for those houses at least, or those lots. And that was my biggest problem. I can build them, I can sell them. I knew that was not the problem. The problem was getting more lots and getting more deals. And here's someone just showing up saying, I'll get you more deals. And as soon as she started getting me more deals, I'm like, yeah, you get, ever since then, like literally I haven't worked with anybody else to sell my houses. So
well,
I think that's the key
and that
point.
day, let me just say this, he was very skeptical.
Yeah.
He's like, because I said, if you're gonna work with me, you're gonna work with me exclusively. He's a builder. Most of you, if you're in real estate, wouldn't say that to a builder, because you'd be like, yeah, but they have other relationships. And he did, he was like, yeah, but I need to get other deals. I said, why don't I make you this deal? If there's a time when I'm not able to get you the deals that you need, I'm open to a conversation, but I'm gonna work so hard for you that I'm always gonna get you the deals that you need, right? And we've been through a lot together. Years of doing business together. There's been times where we're scratching our head because something that we were doing before wasn't working and we weren't getting as many deals. There's times that I'm like, can I use your picture? And I'm like, Sunil buys homes for cash, right? And I'm like putting his picture all over Arlington, and I'm like, well, those signs didn't work, but you have a lot of people know who you are, right? Like, there's been all different things that we've tested, but what he knows about me is I'm always willing to do the work. And I had confidence from day one that I would do the work and I would think creatively about how to get things done. And the same is true on the sales side, right? But yes, that day, he was like, okay. And then ever since then.
Yeah, so sometimes you do have to take some time to nurture, a client or a lead, but again, I've done like so many different businesses. Every business is the same thing. If you provide the customer what they want, they're going to be like, where do I sign up? They're just going to be, yeah, take my money, please, because this is what I want. So I think if you can really provide that, you're going to be very successful in lead gen. I think, again, like KERI said, everyone thinks, what is in it for me? Don't think that. Think what's in it for your client or your prospect. And as soon as you provide that, they're going to be, jumping to do business with you.
Thanks. Okay.
So marketing, so the lighthouse strategy. We've kind of broken this up into two categories. The first is traditional marketing, or what's known as traditional marketing. Then we're going to get into digital and social and all the good stuff, the new stuff. But so under this category, I would include signs, print, radio, direct mail. It still works. That's the good news. It's not as efficient, not as scalable, not as cost, efficient as the new way of doing it. And we know from experience. So we were, I would say we were like 80-90% traditional as recent as a year and a half ago. And we met with Gary V. August of 2018 and got a private meeting with him, and he basically put it into terms that I've just never had explained to me this clearly about how cheap it is to get in front of people on social and digital versus these methods. And these methods have gone up in price because of that, by the way. So more people are flocking to digital and social, which is actually making these prices go up because they've got the same budgetary requirements, but they're less people to fill them. And what really made this interesting was Gary talked about his Wikipedia entry about how it said he took his family wine business from 3 million to 60 million, and he said that made him upset every time he saw it, which I would be happy with it, but he said, look, it should have been 250 million, but I wasn't, I was young, it was my parents' thing, I didn't have the courage at the time or the instinct to go all in on Google PPC, Google pay-per-click. And I think at the time when he started this, he was paying like $20 for 1,000 impressions. And then overnight, he saw that go up to like 100 after a few years. It just kind of happened. Like one day, all the corporations figured it out, started getting into that market, and it just took off. And we left that meeting and we're like, okay, we're spending 50 cents a postcard, right? That's like, no matter how you do postcard, EDM, direct mail, it's usually coming out to 50 cents.
Or more.
Yeah.
We were doing like 20,000, so we were doing it at scale. For a lot of you, it's 65 cents to $1, right?
So you do the math on that, and it costs $500 to get in front of 1,000 people. Now compare that to Facebook CPM, 1,000 people is $20. Instagram story is like, sometimes you can get those for like $4 or $5 a CPM. So it's a difference of $4, $5, $10, $20 max usually. It's a difference of like $480, right? It's like 10x what it costs, on direct mail to get in front of people. Radio, same thing, big budget. You can't get into radio without spending less than 10 grand a month usually.
And it doesn't actually work. Just saying.
It's hard to target. You can't do it. Like your radio ad is going from Richmond to, I don't know, wherever, like Frederick, Maryland, and everything in between. Like you can't target.
So unless you're trying to do massive amounts of acquisitions, it doesn't work, right?
So where do you find your biggest reflection in your marketing? Between the signs, the print, the direct mail. I've been through it all personally. I've seen it all. It's a lot of hard work. But where do you find the biggest reflection? Is it TV? Is it radio? Is it mailers?
When you say reflection, are you talking about the biggest financial opportunity?
The biggest financial reflection as far as client interest.
So from an ROI perspective, I want to say two things about this, because to DM's point, what we learned from Gary is, hey, why not go hard on the sources that are less expensive for the exposure? But I want to caution all of you. There's this thing called a shiny object, and we all have a tendency to focus on it. okay? So before I talk about where our highest ROI is, I want you to listen closely to this. Just because something is our highest ROI does not mean that's where you are. And my sole goal tonight being here with you is to have what I say positively impact the way that you think and the way that you make money. So I would hate to say something and then have you take it and go, KERI said that the highest ROI is X. I'm not even gonna say what X is yet because I'm so afraid. KERI said that this is the highest ROI, so I'm gonna do that, and then you don't have the systems behind you to have that generate income for you. So although we're saying digital is the direction we moved and that's what changed and we've seen a tremendous amount of ROI for a lower cost, that doesn't mean it's right for you right now. Maybe what's right for you today is the letter strategy that got me into Arlington and got us to start this relationship. Maybe it's not. It also has to do with your strengths and weaknesses. So let me be clear about something. If you don't have the follow-up sequence in place to convert from a digital strategy, you're wasting your money. So for me, I knew I wasn't gonna sit at a desk and do the calls. I needed an inside sales team, right? I needed someone to convert that, and we wouldn't have the success that we do in digital if we didn't have those systems in place. Does that make sense? So take that as hope for you identifying the path to what you wanna do. You're smart to be here learning about the next step and the step in front of that and the step further, but that doesn't mean you should be doing it right now.
What almost like a question or a slash comment is that, you know, that when I was marketing for my ex-wife's dental practices, you know, I think the tendency is people want to say, I want to do it all, right? I want all the patients in Northern Virginia. I want all the leads in Northern Virginia. We built, you know, an extremely successful dental practice in 2 zip codes. That's it. We just marketed in 2 zip codes. And I know KERI, I mean, I see her just in Arlington. I see her face like probably once a week on a bus in Arlington somewhere. I snapped a picture and I sent it to her. She's like, she laughs. But I think, you know, when you start, it's like hyper focus, I feel is better, right? Like take, you know, all the time I meet agents who, they're ones that they're never successful. And I'm like, where's your main area? They're like, oh, I do it all. I do, you know, DC, I do Baltimore. And like, really? I mean, come on. So I think, you know, just take a little slice of something and say, I want to be the dominant person in that little slice. Even if it's a neighborhood in Arlington, it doesn't have to be a zip code in Arlington. So I don't know if you can comment on that or if you agree.
I can, yeah. So thank you for saying that, because for me, I was selling new homes before I met Sunil, right? I was selling new homes for a builder, and I had 9 communities. This is when I was in resale, by the way. I had 9 communities, and I was running myself ragged, and I remember I was finally like, okay, something's got to give, and I told my coach, I'm not going to do this anymore, and I'm going to go hyper-focused into Arlington. And he was like, don't do it. And I didn't listen, and I decided I was going to control my destiny, and I was going to focus on getting land in Arlington, which was the most expensive area, where I felt I could then get all of the business, and it worked, right? And that's how we really developed traction. And then we dumped all of our advertising money there. Now it's interesting, and Dan knows the statistics better than I do, but at this point, we're moving very quickly into DC. We've gone from being in like the rear to really, really changing our market percentage. What are we, like 20th in DC?
Last year we went from like kind of not in the charts to in the top 20 last year, and now we're like in the top 5 in DC for 2020 so far.
So that came because of us focusing on, okay, we have one niche, and then once we dominated that, then we were able to expand, right? But if we had expanded too quickly, we wouldn't have had the hold that we have on the location. And it doesn't have to be geography, guys. It could be a segment. It could be an ideal client, right?
Just get the book, The Hyperlocal, HyperFast Real Estate Agent.
Yeah. Who wrote that book? What's that guy's name? Some Navy guy, I don't know. Keeps talking about submarines.
It's true. It's true.
And I started with 190 homes as like my target market in one condo building, and got 50% market share year 1. So,
yeah.
But the focused, Matt, like it would be better to start with a smaller, more narrow focus and then expand. And any focus strategy will work. Just like any of these will work, by the way. Like we were doing, this was primarily what we're doing up until the middle of 2018. And they'll all work. They still do. Digital's better, but these still work. You know, we were top team Virginia, 400 million. Didn't do any. I mean, we had signs, of course, but we didn't do any print or direct mail in the last year, really, except the past clients. But the team that was second in Virginia, 300 million, was like the reverse. They pretty much did all of this. Hardly ran any Facebook ads. You can check on Facebook ads libraries, which we always scope out our competition. I mean, they were almost all this, and they still did 300 million. So like, everything works. The problem most people have is they don't give it enough time. So if you guys pick a strategy, pick a technique that you want to do. The TV doesn't work though.
I have one tip.
It will work if you give it the time. That most people just quit too soon and say that doesn't work for me, that doesn't work in my market, or some other version of that. But it will work.
You guys want a quick traditional hack that will make you money from something you're already doing? Yes? You have to give me some enthusiasm here. You want to make more money? Okay, thank you. How many of you guys have either you're a real estate agent, raise your hand if you're an agent, or you're an investor that sells properties sometime, raise your hand.
Both,
I want to
right?
see them up. Okay, because I don't want to take a lot of time if it doesn't apply to a lot of people in the room. So one of the things that we learned is that when you make the sign calls ring, it puts money in your pocket. So we had to figure out a strategy for making the phone ring more through our listing signs, okay? So in front of our properties, we realized, okay, people don't want to call and talk to me. I'm the salesperson. They don't want to be sold, so they actually avoid me. But what do they actually want? Same philosophy. They want to see the house. So we started putting everyday open house, call for access. Super simple. In front of the house. Our sign calls went up by 3 times. We do a ton of business from sign calls. Easy. It costs $6. Just print extra signs and have that extra sign in front of your listings, and all of a sudden they'll start calling.
Yeah, I think the strategies you're talking about, I mean, they're talking a lot about, like, from a real estate agent standpoint, but it applies to everybody. If you're trying to raise money, if you're trying to get dental patients, if you're trying to do anything you're marketing for, it's the same concept. You have to apply it. So, again, just hyper-focus and really figure out what the customer wants and target that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So on the digital side, we tend to break it up into 2 different types. We have one that's called intent-based marketing, another we'll get to after this called disruptive marketing. Intent-based means you're marketing to the people that are going on the internet and looking for homes, or looking how to sell their home. Like they're typically going to Google and typing like how to sell my home fast, or how to sell for cash. Like these are all good investment terms. How to sell without an agent, stuff, things like that. Google PPC. So this is kind of the older-ish version of digital, right? It's not social media, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah, these are the type of ads we are running for intent-based marketing. These cost more. Tyler, what are we at on CPM on these kind of ads typically?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, it's kind of a long answer than that. When you're optimizing for conversion, it's more about conversion cost or cost per conversion and CPC. So on a direct conversions campaign like that, not as concerned about the CPMs because I just care about the action of that one person anyway. So those will range anywhere from like $20 to $40 a lead, and it just depends on a bunch of different factors.
And that's
Keep that microphone,
higher.
Tyler.
It's higher than what we spend on social media, but it's more of a focused lead. Nobody Googles how to sell my home unless they want to sell their home, right? It's not like Facebook where they're on there to complain about Trump or to look at their grandkids' pictures and then all of a sudden the house is in front of them. Like they're there because they have a home that they want to sell potentially.
Do you find the conversion on those higher price marketing strategies make it worth it? Are they similar ROI to your other digital strategies?
Yeah. So the more intent based, we're willing to pay more because we know we're going to have higher conversion. Exactly.
Yeah, like Zillow, like we pay more Zillow's one of our more expensive per lead online sources, but I mean, you know, some real estate agents hate Zillow, but people are going there because they want to buy or sell a home. Like, they're not going there to look at cats or something.
They're further, so I look at it like this, it's all about where they are in the stream. The closer they are to the transaction, typically the more you're gonna pay for that lead, right? So when they're already on Zillow requesting to go see homes, you're gonna pay more because they're further upstream. The name of the game though, as you're scaling, is figuring out how to get them further upstream for cheaper and then have the right follow-up sequences in place to take them with you. The problem, and why I said this might not be right for all of you, is if you just focus on, whoa, Tyler said, I don't want to steal his thunder on the next slide, whatever he's going to say on the next slide, so I'm going to focus there. I must be running out of battery. Here you go.
Like, we're going to take them to a landing page, and on that landing page, you know, if they put in their information, their name, phone number, email, and house, we'll send them a home eval, and then someone will follow up with a cash offer within 24 hours. Instant gratification, right? If you have a delay in this sequence, you're going to lose them to something, because if they're in this mode, this information seeking mode, buying mode, like, they want the information now. Speed is important. You got to get to them right away. It's hard to do, like, unless you have something like this that can automate it, right? Or if you have an inside sales team like we do that can respond to calls within 5 minutes, which is the ideal time. Within 5 minutes, it's 1,000 more times effective to talk to the lead in 5 minutes than it is an hour. There's studies from MIT that actually show that. So you need that speed to lead, you need the instant gratification, and you need to make it easy, right? Which is why maybe some of you are surprised we take them to a ClickFunnels page, and we've got templates of these that we can give you guys. We'll give you more information about that later, but if you take them to your website, it's very, very confusing. Because websites have, what do they have at the top? They've got like nav bars, and drop-down menus, links everywhere. You're giving them like 100 different choices of what to do.
The confused mind does nothing.
Yeah. So on our ClickFunnels pages, we give them two things. We give them information about our offer, information we want them to consume, and then we give them one action to take. Like, there's nothing else they can click on there except the, buy now, submit my home information now. Like, they have, this one, send my cash offer, right? So you got to take them to somewhere that's going to deliver what they want, make it very, very easy to understand, and not give them any other options. And it has to be automated and quick.
So before you go to the next one, the question that I have is, behind this, behind the lead funnel, there's a system behind it, right?
Yes.
What are some of the tools you guys use behind this to automate that process? Do you guys send a couple of mail campaign, like introduction to home buying, and just a sequence of events to lead them to taking action? Or do you guys just send them one email or 2 emails and that's it?
I'm on their list. There's a lot of emails.
I'm going to just say a bad word. Is that okay? Even if I had one of my agents call and they said, F you, they are not removed from the list. Okay. Because they might be having a better day 3 days later, and they might say thank you when they sign the listing agreement. Okay? So don't be offended. When you're doing, there's 2 pieces of it. Part of it is, you said, what's the automation? So we researched a ton and found a program that doesn't just give one value, it gives a range. I think that's really important because when you give one value, you isolate the seller, and if they're not comfortable with the range, then they don't like it. The other thing they do is they move the condition bar, because if what you're thinking, the value range is different than what they're thinking, and they move the bar for the condition, it's gonna put it more in the range that they're thinking. So it's very strategically thought out in how we present the evaluation, because it's easy to turn somebody off, right? And for some of you that are investors, and so you only want the people who are willing to sell, you should be partnering with an agent. I'm here, I'm available to talk about it, but if not me, someone, right? Because the deals you don't want should be another stream of income for you. Make sense? And some of you are just like, oh, they're not selling for low enough, and then you just leave them and you don't pick up that extra money. Okay?
Our follow-up is like every piece of contact information they give us, we're gonna use it for follow-up. So they will get text, emails, phone calls. It's gonna be a lot in the first 2 weeks, and then after that, it'll kind of go to like a weekly or a couple times a week cadence.
Okay.
And I don't think you can overdo it.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a lot of people out there that say, like, don't over communicate, don't over post. And again, I hear that from a lot of people whose names I really don't know, but they're teaching.
I never hear that from people succeeding at the highest level. Like, have you ever heard Gary V, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins say, don't overpost?
Nah, they bombard your email.
They don't do it. Like, they're
Yeah.
in there. Like, and you have to be, because people have very, very short attention spans, and I think it's only getting shorter, and I'm not making a value judgment on that. It is what it is with technology. Like, people's attention spans are shorter, so you gotta stay in front of them so that when they're ready to take action, you are top of mind.
Yeah, I think that goes into, I know we're talking about real estate, but B2B, there's digital fatigue. You can't overcompensate, do too much marketing. These people are just fatigued. They walk away. But what you're talking about, in the arena you're talking about, people are coming to buy or sell a house, right? So there's not that issue of fatigue as much. And the reality is it works much better in that type of environment.
Yeah, and you have to have the right scripts, because people are like, you've been calling me, like, I got like 5 voicemails from you. Absolutely. Don't you want an aggressive agent? Don't you want somebody who's going to be committed to taking care of your need? I know you said that you wanted blah, 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 and I'm committed to getting that outcome for you. So what are your thoughts about when you'd like to sell, right? So you have to respond with confidence to their anger.
We brought a very important point, script. So anything, when you're talking about your customer, how are you messaging? Your messaging has to be key.
And your confidence.
Yeah, messaging
Both.
and confidence.
Absolutely.
And that just goes back to the point we were talking about earlier, that I'm a big believer in, is just know what that customer wants, right? If you're staying to that script, they're gonna be interested. You know, if you're veering off to something completely different, then not. And I mean, I think if we spent 5 minutes in here, everyone could come up with, what does a home buyer or a home seller want, right? Quick sale, don't wanna have to deal with real estate agents, don't wanna fix up their house, don't want to do showings. That's what they want. So guess what? This is what they're talking about right here, and that's what attracts people. So just know what they want.
You guys want one money script?
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you get the objection, like, this is, you called me 5 times or whatever, that, yeah, I understand, but if you're trying to get the quickest sale, the best sale, the highest dollar, stress-free, whatever pain point you have, do you want an agent that's going to be lackadaisical, or do you want someone that will be able to contact buyers with just as much enthusiasm, passion, repetitiveness, right? Because that's what's going to drive, you to get the best deal, is by dealing with someone that has the confidence, whether it's directly or indirectly, to go out and eventually get the best buyers.
Yep.
Is that what you're going to say?
No. I was going to say something else.
So I think, how big is your sales team?
That's a great question. So we have about 40 buyer's agents and 8 listing agents. And 3 that started today. Yesterday. Today's Tuesday, right? Monday. Started Monday. So what I was going to say, what's the number 1 objection? How many of you guys are actually on the phone with prospects? Potential sellers? Like one of you? I'm not going to tell the script unless you raise your hand. How many of you actually talk to sellers on the phone? 5 of you. Maybe I'm not excited. Okay, I'll tell you quick. So the number one thing that they say is, I'm busy or I'm at work, right? Here's what you say. Absolutely, I understand. I'm happy to call you back. That's the first thing you say. You're acknowledging where, and then you pivot and you say, let me just ask you, are you looking to sell your home in the next 3 to 6 months? And then you close them on an appointment and you get their business. But if you say, when would you like me to call you back? They will never take your call again. Ever. So many people try to be so respectful, but they're actually not serving the client. The client doesn't have any time. They need to solve their problem. So learn how to pivot, adjust, and close. Make sense?
Is it again?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so if I'm talking to a potential client and I'm calling and I get them on the phone, a lot of times they say, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now, or I'm at work right now, I'm busy, right? Absolutely, I will be happy to call you back. By the way, are you looking to sell your home in the next, are you still looking to sell your home, depending on where you got the lead and what the notes say, right? Are you still, let me just ask you quickly, are you still looking to sell your home in the next 3 to 6 months? Then you just move forward with the rest of your script and close for the appointment. You can close for the appointment in 2 minutes and get them off the phone, and then you don't have to call them back.
All right. Disruptive marketing. So that was a little bit on intent-based marketing. Disruptive marketing is the newer version of social media, digital media marketing, and it's ads that are disrupting someone's activity. That's how I would define it. Like, people do not go on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, wherever.
TikTok.
Yeah, they don't go on there to, and we don't advertise on TikTok yet, but they don't go there to look for homes or look for information about buying or selling homes. They're there to look, connect with friends, see how their grandkids are doing, get news, complain about
cat videos.
Complain about some political cause. Like that's why they're there. So you're disrupting their activity. So you have to have things that stand out, that have a good hook, and you have to realize, although these leads will typically be cheaper, they're earlier in the cycle. It's going to take longer to convert them. So you want to automate even more, and the follow-up's going to be even more important, and you're going to have to expect to do it for longer. This is not something you can do for a month or 2 or 3 and say, well, I tried it and it doesn't work, because there's like tons of people that this is all they do and it works.
A lot of these leads are 12 to 18 months. So Tyler, as an example, what are we paying for a lead that's more of a disruptive style lead?
Anywhere from like 4 to around $18 a lead. On the lower end, it's usually if it's like a Facebook lead ad, so they're rewarding you basically for keeping the person on Facebook as opposed to taking them to a different site, because Facebook can't make money if people are leaving Facebook. So typically you'll pay less per lead using Facebook lead ads, but you can't really control the conversion experience. So you'll pay a little bit more when you're taking them to your pages, but it's still very reasonable, around 15, 20 bucks.
So how many of you are automatically like, yes, I want to pay $4 and get that lead? Okay, but remember, there's a consequence of that $4 lead. You have to stay in touch with that guy for the next 12 months, and you're not going to make any money back for 12 months on average. So as long as you're in for that, what I would say is this: you have to have different buckets that you're pulling from, because most of you don't have the money to only advertise in this $4 bucket, because you need to make money today, right? So
What are you doing back
It's
there,
okay.
Christian? You're doing something back there.
Just trying to make it really exciting out here, beatboxing. So still really
like
echoey.
staticky and yeah.
So anyway, I would say you have to be able to do each bucket, and proportionally to the amount of growth that you want, you have to allocate your budget in the different buckets accordingly. Does that make sense? So a Gary V, like when we talked to him, he basically would go hard in the $4 bucket because he doesn't need money, there's tons of money, And his whole thing would be, I'll figure out the best way to follow up with those leads, and then I'll have a bigger payday long term, right? Where we are in our marketing career, talk about Lighthouse, right? We're still doing both, but we're going harder into this category, even though we're still doing Zillow. Does that make sense? So the other piece of it, I always believe you as an individual need to be honest with yourself. If you're not going to create the follow-up sequence, if you're not going to do the phone calls, this isn't your bucket. And just hiring someone to do it, that's part of it. But you've then got to manage that person and make sure they're effective and they're held accountable and make sure that the systems are such that that's going to produce money for you. You with me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Yes. Okay. What questions do you guys have about this? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is like a miracle, right? We're actually building a funnel system right now. And coming here is like just mind blowing. So thank you guys very much for doing this. I'm more interested in the system behind it.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation I want to have.
Yeah.
Privately.
Like, how do we do the ClickFunnels, or how do we do the home eval tool?
The follow-up sequence
Okay.
and stuff like that.
It's coming, it's coming.
Yeah.
And ClickFunnels will link to like any CRM through Zapier. So Zapier is a program that kind of gets different systems to talk to each other. And ClickFunnels, like you can use any CRM system out there, you know, with Zapier, or ClickFunnels has one built in. So you can set it up to, you know, send out this sequence of emails and then send these text messages, give you these prompts to make phone calls. And again, we're like one contact a day at least for the first 2 weeks on a new lead, and then we're gonna dial it down to, you know, a couple times a week. Or
When he says contact, let us be clear. A contact, like he's talking about at least one call, but we're also texting, emailing, and like calling their brother's sister's friend, and reaching out to them on, like we are aggressive.
Okay.
And really, you gotta make it very unique to that lead source, to what that prospect wants. It's gotta be, you know, Russell Brunson talks about this concept of hook, story, offer, right? So, and that applies to all types of marketing, all types of follow-up. Every ad, every email, every phone call, conversation has to have a good hook. You have to get their attention, right? That's your subject line in the email, the headline in the ad, the picture in the ad itself, what you say to them in the opening conversation. It's got to be something interesting that gets their attention. Then it has to transition to a good story and then a good offer at the end. And if something in your follow-up sequence, marketing sequence doesn't work, it's almost always because something's wrong with your hook, story, or offer. Okay. So this is on the disruptive marketing side. This is one of our main tools we're using now. We also use this one on the intent-based side too. But like this is our home evaluation tool. So people can go in there, put in the type of property, number of beds, baths, square footage, year it was built. This is kind of like the Kelly Blue Book thing on the, you know, online for your car. Like you can dial it back. Needs work. It's perfect.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
So when I was researching the back end, I know how people think, right? And the prospect has a number in their mind. All of your prospects do. Whether you're working on a multifamily, whether you're looking for an investor, like your prospects are different, but you get they all have it. So this enables them to get what they want and keeps them interested in the conversation. If you just use the average tool, it doesn't work because you're telling them something that's not in line with what they want to hear.
Yep. So they fill all this out, click view report, and they're gonna get some type of range right away. But it's gonna tell them if you want us to give you an exact number, a human being has to see the home, like someone who's an expert at. Like there's no AI out there or home eval tool that can replace what a knowledgeable salesperson, human being, like walking into the house can do. The technology's just not there yet. So it's good in that it fills their instant need, gives them a range, but now it's prompting them to know that they should meet with us, and then the follow-up sequence is going to initiate. Yeah, so 3-step process. So put the property in first, do the customization. You know, everyone's always fine about putting that information in, but then like we don't give them what they want until we get what we want, which is name, email, phone number, best time to contact, all of that. So, and I don't know how much our drop-off rate is or how many people we lose because they get to step 3 and don't want to give out their information, but you know, we've already gotten them into the giving us information mode sequence. We're just putting this last. If you had one big giant form and they knew up front that they had to like give this stuff, most of them probably wouldn't start it. So that's why most of what we do is like 2-step, 3-step forms.
Completely. Okay, next.
So we can dive more into this or have Tyler answer more specific questions. We have more information, and you guys can, you know, actually get access to the same system. We make it available for other people that want to purchase it. It's at hyperfastportal.com. And then on
I think you said this to me. The ClickFunnels, we can actually give them what we're using, right?
yeah, that's down here. If you email us, we can send you a 14-day trial for ClickFunnels. It's free. And you know, this is the Russell Brunson's company, but then we can actually give you the templates we use. Like if you sign up for the free trial, we can load the exact templates, you know, into your ClickFunnels account. So if you just email us on that one, info@hyperfastagent.com. There's information about that. If you want to check out that home eval tool, you can go to hyperfastportal.com.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I told him earlier, and then I never got in the box. Go ahead.
No, number one, what you and Dan have done is phenomenal. Like I'm sitting back here, mind blown. So we thank you all for sharing the information.
Thank you.
One thing that I want to ask you all is, you all run a pretty dominant and a large team, and numbers are important. So what do you all do to keep track of your KPIs?
Thank you for asking that question. I'll speak for my piece of it. So I have always believed in daily reports for key metrics, right? So as an example, our inside sales team, they do daily follow-up that says how many dials they make, how many live conversations they have, how many appointments they book, the sources of those appointments, and we track that all. Where I would say that's where we're really strong. Our marketing team is reporting to their management team every day. They have a huddle, and then they're coming together and sending us weekly reports so we know what they've been working on, what struggles they had, where there's opportunities for training and learning. And then we have a soul dog where we're tracking all of the sales, and every weekly meeting that we have with our leadership team, we're going through and looking at how many ratifications we have. In the team meeting, we are looking at ratifications, percentage of goal for each person, how they rank with the rest of the team. Like, there's no hiding performance here. If your numbers suck, you're gonna face them every week publicly. If your numbers are awesome, you're gonna celebrate yourself every week publicly, right? So when we made that change, I remember thinking like, and we'll never go back. Because the people who are the wrong people will run from that. The people who are the right people will like face the fire and level up.
And marketing, you got to look at cost per lead, cost per conversion. You got to look at the time that you got to put into building that, or other teammates are running it or operating it. And it's a little problematic, challenging, I should say, because you know, I know, like, we run an ROI, is it echoing on me?
Yeah.
We run an ROI report all the time. So we're looking at every lead source, how much we spent, how much commission we brought in from it, or how many deals we got from it for investing and whatnot. But the challenge is a lot, like if I run it today, I know how much I spent in January, or I know how much I'm gonna spend in February. I know how many closings are coming in. Right, so that gives me some indication, but it's an inaccurate report because the money I spend in January had nothing to do with my January closings. That was all money that came from the previous 12 months. So there's some challenges with that it's just not a perfect system, but we do our best. And we're really looking at cost per lead and cost per conversion, and kind of we just have the knowledge that the leads we generated for this month's closings will probably create another 2 or 3 closings like within the next 6 months. So you have to know that. You can't go exactly by like what's closed today and what you spent today.
Yeah, I think I just want to echo that as well as a long-term entrepreneur and business owner is know your numbers. That's what they're saying is you've got to know your numbers. And everyone who's not successful, when you ask them, what's your cost per lead? They're like, what? I know the dental practices when I used to market for that, $100 was our cost per lead on average with all our marketing sources. And we knew that patient in the first year would bring in $1,000. That was the average. And even when we looked at our leads, we say, well, these are $30 leads, but these patients tend to spend more. So we would take it all the way through how much they're actually spending, not just cost per lead. So how many people know what KPI is here? Right? Yeah, if you don't know what KPI is, no, it's key performance indicator. So you got to know with any business you're running, what are your KPIs? Usually, I don't know, I always try to get it 5 or less because you get too many KPIs and you can't focus. I don't know how many KPIs do you guys track?
So we have different KPIs for each department, and then we
Yeah.
have certain KPIs that we're looking at as a leadership team.
Yeah.
But I think one of my weaknesses is I'm a control freak and I'm in the details, and so I probably would benefit from a serious conversation about where I should focus, which Dan has had with me many times. I'm like, but I want to know this and I want to know that, and so we are studying a lot of KPIs right now.
Yeah, the key is just know it. Just have KPIs and know your numbers and really just, any business is a math equation is what it really is when you boil it down. So, that's my big point of advice here. You want
Absolutely.
Another question?
Alice, what was your question?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, actually, your answer
Okay.
to his question, I will let answer my question.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And the other point on that is to increase the frequency that you look at them. So if you, and I really learned this to a whole new level. 2 weeks ago, I was at a conference, this group I'm a part of called GoBundance, which is a really awesome group. But Ed Milet spoke, and I've always believed that if you monitor something once a year, you could have a bad year. If you look at stuff monthly, you could have a bad month. If you look at stuff weekly, you could have a bad week, right? So the more changes, the better. Like, he's so nutty, so high performance, he takes it down to like hourly. So he's like checking in with himself every hour. Did I accomplish what I needed to that hour? And in really micro tasking, which is something you see like spec ops guys, SEALs do, is like breaking these huge, what seems like impossible tasks down into micro tasks. And I think you should apply the same with, analyzing your numbers, analyzing your business. Like, the more times you check in, the quicker you'll be able to make adjustments if you're not where you want to be.
Okay, we have to wrap up soon, so I'm just going to go through this list. Marketing for deals. We talked about all different ways to do that. Conversion and costs. Talked about funnels. Showed you some examples of how they work. If you want to look at our funnels, guys, go online and research. Like, there's tons of them. Then you can study how they're actually working. Please don't click on all of the stuff, so we're not paying for them all the time. But we're happy to share.
Sign up for the 14. We'll give you a link for the 14 free day trial and
Totally.
give you some of our best ones.
Filling the pipeline. I think the direct correlation between your pipeline, obviously you have to be putting input into that pipeline, and I've always thought about pipeline in terms of pillars of success. So marketing pillars. So sometimes you have to go way outside of your comfort zone. I was having a conversation with one of our listing agents tonight, and I said, well, I've talked about all these different methods of marketing, but have you acted on the one that I said most recently, which is absentee owners? What action have you taken on that? And she's like, oh, yeah, I've heard you say it for like 6 months. I'm like, guess what? None of you have taken action on it. It's a great idea. Why not? And she's like, I commit, I'm going to do it, right? So my point is this. Once you have pillars that are working, find out how to put a box around them and then build another pillar. And then put a box around that and then build another pillar. And you have to pair your follow-up sequence and how you are following up with that pipeline to keep them moving forward in the process, no matter what stage they're coming in at, it's different, right? And the more you focus on that, the better you will be. For some people, I think if they just hired someone else to stay in touch with their pipeline, they would make so much more money, and that first hire is very scary. I could do a whole nother thing on that because I'm super passionate about it. But just focus on continuing to do the right thing for your prospects, and it'll keep happening. For syndication, my biggest thing is know what the partners want that you're trying to bring together and figure out how you can give it to them. Sounds simple, but it's so true. And then JVs with homeowners. This one is, you guys, a lot of you in this room are flippers, right? So you have the skill to do that. And if you're wholesalers, find someone in the room who's a flipper, and if you can't make the numbers work for you, think about how you could potentially partner with somebody where it's a little bit of a different setup with the JV. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant idea. Okay, passing it over.
All right, guys, come on. Big round of applause for KERI and Dan. Come on, that was good stuff, right? Good stuff, right? Come on. I told you it was going to be good. I told you. Didn't I? Thank you, KERI. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and wisdom. That was awesome. We have Chris's Corner next. You want to do the intro there?
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to do with this, I know sometimes it can be a little intimidating. You might see like, oh, these guys have 80 people, they're spending 6 figures a month in marketing. Like, I can't do that. So we wanted to bring out someone who's been super successful, at an earlier stage in their real estate investing career. Chris is an agent on our team. He's only been investing for a couple of years, and he's already built this up to something that could hit double digit or 24 actually deals in the next year. And I thought it would be great to have him come because he's got some techniques that maybe more accessible or because of where he's at, maybe more approachable for some of the people in the room. So.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Dan, for having me.
Good. Hey, Chris.
And,
I was going to put Chris's Corner on the first floor in the closet. But
I was going to say, which corner do I get?
I know. You get this corner right here.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, welcome to the first edition of Chris's Corner. I'll try to be quick, only about 45 minutes to an hour. So
okay, we're done.
No, it'll be relatively quick. But anyways, for those who don't know me, my name is Chris Clark. I'm the owner of Summit Realty Investment Group. We're a residential redevelopment company. We buy distressed properties in DC, renovate and resell them. I've been actively rehabbing since 2017. Purchased 11 properties last year. Currently have 10 rehab projects under construction. The goal is to go for 24 this year. So things are going well, looking to scale. And yeah, I'm also an agent on the team as well. So just to gauge the room quickly, how many of you have a marketing budget of $10,000 or more per month? KERI? 2 people, including KERI? Okay, so then how many people do not have a marketing budget of $10,000 a month? Everybody else. Perfect. Me too. So what I'm going to share might be or will be a good fit for most of you. It's a system I've used early in my business, and I still use it today. I've found several deals through it, and it's both very effective on time and cost. And I refer to it as the agent door knocking system. We'll get into it. So 2 things to get started. First thing, decide which neighborhood you want to target. So this goes back to being hyper-focused on where you want to target. So a lot of people, you ask, oh, where are you buying right now? Anywhere inside the Beltway, anywhere in Northern Virginia. Me, I particularly focus in DC only, and particularly Capitol Hill, and particularly zip code 20003. So that's my neighborhood. That is where I target right now. The second thing you're going to want to figure out before you get started is to identify and partner with agents that meet and match your criteria. So everyone could have a little bit of a different criteria. Mine is pretty simple. So the first thing I look for is, I don't look for the agents that are already killing it, right? And I mean, we can do a quick live example of this. KERI, would you be interested in door knocking for me on evenings and weekends? Probably not, no. So you're gonna wanna find the agents who are newer.
How much are you paying?
So we'll get to that, But You're gonna wanna find the agents that are newer, who are trying to get established in the business, who really don't have a ton of leads or clients that they're working with. So that's the first criteria I look for. The second one would be they have to be comfortable door knocking. So I don't know many people that love door knocking, but you have to at least be comfortable, willing to be rejected and hit the pavement. Third would just be the availability to door knock about 20 to 40 properties a week, ideally on evenings and weekends. So once you have those two figured out, it's a pretty simple 6-step process. It takes 5 weeks, and you touch these sellers 7 different times. So first step, pull a list of motivated sellers in the neighborhood you selected. My favorite list is a pre-foreclosure list. They're obviously in some sort of distressed situation if they're facing foreclosure, so they would have, most likely might have an interest to sell their property. Once you have your list, I send my first touch of direct mail week 1. So send it on a Monday, might get there around Thursday, Friday, whatever. The next step, step 3, this is when your agents go out and they start door knocking. So you assign, maybe you find 2 or 3 agents to work with initially. Those agents, you give them each 20, 30 properties. You say, I need you to door knock these 30 houses this week. You can do 5 a day, you can do 30 in one day, I don't care. Just go to all 30 this week. If no one's home, buy them door hangers to leave behind, the number to call, obviously. So that even if you don't see them, they're still being touched by your door hanger. Step 4, the 3rd week, I start cold calling now. So either you can do the cold calling, or if you want to obviously free up more of your time, try to convince an agent to cold call for you, or even go as far as hiring a virtual assistant. There's plenty of cheap options out there who will do it for about 50 cents a dial. So that's easy as well. And then I follow up with my second touch of direct mail. So, so far we've hit them with direct mail, we've door knocked them, we've cold called them, and we've sent them more direct mail. The following week, the agents go back out and they door knock them again. Even if they answered and said no the first time, still go back, try again. Like KERI said, maybe they're having a bad day the first time. Step 6, last week of the campaign, more cold calling and more direct mail. So like I said, 5 weeks, 6 steps, and you're touching the seller 7 times. And then, like I said, it's low on cost. You're paying for direct mail and cold calling. If you're paying for Mojo, you might pay for that as well. But relatively low costs. And the way the agents get compensated, a lot of the leads might not be good for investors. So you tell them, hey, if you door knock and they do want to sell the house, but it's not a good fit for me, you have the listing right there. There you go. If I do buy the property, renovate it, you'll get the listing on the out sale. So really, you're not paying that much. It's all fees you'd be paying for anyways. And you're not spending that much time other than identifying your neighborhood and finding the agents. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Any questions on that? Yeah.
So after the 5 weeks, nothing happens, do you abandon it, or do you go back and put them into another pipeline? Or?
If you get no responses, I typically get a new list and try it, maybe a month later, restart the whole process with a new list.
Or a new agent, have somebody else.
That's true as well, yeah.
I love that strategy, smart.
Yeah, it combines, 3 of the prospecting strategies all in one.
So how?
Yeah.
So how many properties have you bought in that neighborhood 20003?
From this strategy
Yeah,
alone,
that's
4 properties, and the agents I've worked with have gotten, I believe, 6 or 7 listings from it. So they're very pleased with it as well. Yeah.
What's your method for financing on your property?
I'm sorry, what?
How do you finance the deals?
Oh, finance. So a combination of hard money and private money. So the hard money lenders, finance 80 to 95%, and then I raise private money through friends, family, network.
What's one of the things that
like slowing it down now? I mean, you know, you bought 11 properties in 2019, and you know, you want to do 2 a month in 2020.
Right.
Like, is it capital? Or is it
I mean, I would say just, you know, finding deals.
You could use more capital though, right?
I'm always looking for more capital, yeah, absolutely.
we are too.
So, I mean, I've never had a good deal that I couldn't close on because of capital. Usually if you have a good deal, the money follows. You know, 2 properties a month, I think it's a pretty good rate for me right now. But yeah, I mean, if I found 5 good deals a month, I would try to buy all of them too.
How did you get started into this? Did you have this system in place before your first house, or did you kind of have a trial project and then build the system off of that once you knew you had a product that you could convert to?
Is anybody here familiar with Fortune Builders? I know Teresa and Mark are.
You had them on the first slide, I think.
Yeah, so those who are not familiar, Fortune Builders is a national real estate investing educational company. It's a coaching program that I joined and spent about 6 months going through their curriculum. Obviously you pay money for that, but they provide you with some, I mean, the foundation for my entire business came from Fortune Builders. All the marketing systems I use came from Fortune Builders. The way I raise money came from Fortune Builders. So I had a good coaching program, to answer your question.
You recommend that
I would.
program after?
I would. I mean, it's not for everyone, but it's worked very well for me.
Yeah, a quick comment. Just a quick comment on the coaching. I mean, everything I do, the first thing I do is I get a coach. I've spent probably easily over $100,000 in my real estate career just on coaching and programs. So I just can't tell you how valuable that is. I don't spend as much these days on it, but that's what gets you where you want to go. So if you know, I just couldn't, you know, recommend coaching in some way or some form
But Sunil,
like that.
you
Yep.
still have a coach today.
I still have a coach. I still have actually life coach.
We
Yeah.
have the same coach.
Actually, we do currently, yes. So yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, that's what people, you know, I don't want to spend $1,000 here, but that's what gets you where you want to go, you know. So we have some great coaching programs for you here as well. So make sure you take advantage of this because it's an ROI, right? I mean, if I've spent $100,000 in my career on coaching and I've made, you know, millions, it makes sense, right? So I just want to echo that point because I think it's a really, really important point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not here to plug Fortune Builders, but I did join their
Yeah,
program.
something that's good, yeah.
A big believer in coaching, and it's definitely paid off 10x for me.
How do you manage your investment business and be a member of your team as well? How do you manage your time?
Yeah, so I got licensed primarily just so I could, you know, make my own offers and list my own properties. So I don't work with typical buyers and sellers. You know, I joined the team to be connected with Dan and KERI and learn from them and be a part of their awesome team. So I'm not really an agent the way that you would think of it. So I don't spend much or any time with that side of the business.
Let's do one more question for him because I don't want to keep you guys here all night. I know you love me, but one more question. Anybody else for Chris or? Oh, you got a question or no? Okay. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. Give it up for Chris. Great. I mean, yeah. Just again, we're gonna wrap this up real quick, but just want to echo those points of, you know, it's if you're going to put the work in, you'll get the results. I mean, here's a great example of a young guy who's just started a couple years ago, already crushing it. You know, Kevin Hart, I remember, always says, you know, everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to put the work in, right? So it's all about putting the work in. I've written 2 books as well, Dan. So I've got 2 books out there if you want to look them up. But one of the chapters I talk about is hard work. There's 168 hours in every day, every week. Ask me how I know that. I know that because during my medical training, I've had weeks where I've worked almost all those. So if you take 168 hours in a week and you take out like 56 hours for sleeping, which is 8 hours a day, you still have over 100 hours a week to work on stuff. And a lot of people don't understand that. And they're like, oh, I'm not going to go door knocking. I'm not going to put the hard work in. So to me, that's really what it boils down to, is if you're going to put the hard work in and follow up and do this stuff. So I'll stop preaching because I know you guys don't love me not to preach probably. But you want to just review real quick, Dan, and just wrap this thing up?
Yeah, make sure you guys connect with I don't think we have this on here, but there's a Arlington Grid Facebook group. So look that up, and we post deals there. Other people have posted deals there. There's wholesalers that come on and post deals there. So there's, you can post questions, ask things there. So connect with us on the Arlington Grid Facebook group. Next month, we're doing renovations, estimating costs, so make sure you RSVP and network with each other. And last slide, I think, is just a reminder to check out hyperfastpodcast.com. Follow us at Hyperfast Agent on all social media. And then the wealth shows, you can go to hyperfastwealth.com to get more information on where to watch our investor podcast.
All right, well, thank you, Dan. Thank you. Big hand for Dan, big hand for KERI, big hand for Chris. That was a great meeting. Make sure you guys stay around, network. We kind of introduced a little bit who's who here, so come see who you want to network with. And again, thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you next month.